Welcome to the Future of Hiring series. Candid insights from founders, talent leaders, and recruiters about duct-taped hiring, resume carpet bombs, hiring magic wand, and more. Today we're joined by someone who's living and shaping the future of work every day. She's a product leader, a TEDx speaker, and a tech for good evangelist with over 250,000 followers on Instagram, inspiring young professionals to lead with empathy, impact, and innovation. From dropping out of IIM to building a purpose-driven career, her journey is anything but conventional. Please welcome Shreya Mahendru.
So tell us about yourself.
For sure. I think the inspiration came from looking at how globally and, being into the product space and being into the digital space, the digital infrastructure space, and then also venturing into my own passions and, continuing that as well into fitness and travel. That's what led me to a digital nomad lifestyle.
All right. And how is it different? If you could summarize your life before making the shift to the life that you are leading right now, what are the pros and cons? If you could summarize in a few points.
For sure. I think I have to be super disciplined. I have to say no to things a lot of the times as well. It might seem tempting that I'm in a new country and I could go out and have fun, but I also have to have fixed work hours. So I dedicate and I clearly communicate that to my team as well. What are my working hours? And after that, I won't be available. So we make sure that, everything is planned accordingly. And I think it has to be a great tuning between the employer and the employee as well. The work cannot overflow after the work hours because there's life outside. And same, the vice versa as well. You cannot be working or be having fun during the work hours. So there has to be that clear balance and clear demarcation of work and life. So I think that way a few bits changed. For me, what has changed is I am happier because I get to do everything that I want to. I get to continue my career without giving up on, let's say salary or, the ladder that we have in growing in our own careers as well and learning as well. And then also my lifestyle, I can focus on my personal growth as well, on experiences as well, and grow as a person also, not just in career.
All right. So did this shift happen as a result of some very specific impetus, external or internal, or was it a gradual planned decision?
Definitely a gradual planned decision because it cannot happen suddenly, and I don't suggest also to do this suddenly because I feel you need to be a bit open to your own flaws as well. A lot of the people are not able to balance the freedom that they get when you get remote work, or they are not able to enjoy the work part because they don't see people around them. So I think definitely have kept it a bit gradual has been amazing for me because I knew what I'm stepping into and I could experiment with that bandwidth of failure as well. In case things don't work out for me, I can take a step back and then rework on some certain things. And I think in gradual, what I mean is number one, at a personal level, is having some financial savings.
All right.
Making sure I don't have any liabilities before I take this lifestyle leap. And then apart from that is having a stable career as well. Let's say if I stop working with the current client or the current company, do I have a backup? Do I have something next that I could get into, or would it kind of freak me out? So being prepared for that too, and having my own kind of digital identity, I would say, in which people are able to discover me in case I have more opportunities lined up for me. They are able to discover me as well. So I think all of these lined up, that gave me a nice safety net, a fallback plan also, just in case a certain thing doesn't work out. I can take some steps back.
All right. So sounds pretty insightful. Now let's talk more about skills, right? So when we are working in an employer-employee relationship, especially in the corporate world, we know there are a lot of mandatory trainings we go through, and also there are a lot of plenty of learning opportunities within the organization.
Yeah.
But in a digital nomad setting and a remote setting, how do you make sure that your skills stay relevant, especially in such a fast-changing world with AI disruptions and whatnot?
I think it lies on our own responsibility. The company is not going to do any trainings, and they might not be checking in on you every day like it happens in an office setup. So if you are inclined towards certain types of technologies, I think it's your responsibility to make sure that you go and attend meetups, you go and attend online events, etc., and make sure you're exposed to these kind of newer technologies. For example, I'll give my example as well. Last year, I was super interested into the DPI DPG space. That's the GovTech space as well. The technology on which Aadhaar has been built, on which UPI has been built. So I wanted to get into that, and it's not easy to just start learning online. So I tried to find some events and I attended those, and I created my own network, and then I eventually even landed on a project with something worth pursuing. In terms of skills, I think employer and employee, I think being great at your job is a prerequisite, because that comes with the responsibility of the adjusting the time and everything, etc. as well. So being great at your work means not just knowing your skills, but being kind of high agency by yourself as well. Knowing your communication skills are really good, and that does not mean just knowing English. It means being proactive in sharing updates, asking questions, making sure everybody is on track, making sure everybody is on the same page, and taking that lead even if there's no manager sitting on the top of you in a lot of instances, especially in global companies. Right. So how do you still work as individual units? I think that is something that becomes eventually very basic when it comes to remote work.
Absolutely. I think that is something which a lot of people overlook. They think like, yay, it's digital nomad lifestyle, remote work will be globe trotting and there are no more responsibilities. But what you said makes a lot of sense, that you need to have a certain foundation of skills as well as a certain foundation of habits that you build, and you can iterate on top of that. That would lead to a successful remote job career as well as a successful digital nomad lifestyle. Pretty interesting. So a lot of people in our community also happen to be product managers looking for product manager roles in a remote setting. So given your background, is there any specific habits, specific workflows or prep work that you would recommend for product managers who are either looking to make a transition from in-office to remote or digital nomad setting, or people who are looking to transition into the product manager roles, though in a remote setting? So any specific recommendations based on your own experiences and perspectives?
I think I have like a controversial take on this. A lot of people think that
controversial takes.
That product management is industry agnostic, right? That I think there are lots of transferable skills that you as a product manager carry from one industry to the other. But I feel you can be only a great product manager when you know in and out of your industry. What are the next big things that are going to happen in your industry? For example, if I'm in, let's say, in fintech, or if I'm into, health tech, then I need to be able to visualize, okay, these are my competitors. This is what, this is what the next 5 years are going to look like. This is what the US is doing. This is what Europe is doing. I think if you don't get into the depth of your industry, you may not be able to take decisions very confidently. So I feel, as a remote product manager especially, I think it's very important that you take that responsibility of going for industry insights. And this is not your JD, right? It's not in your JD at all. Nobody is going to come and tell you that, hey, go and learn what is happening in US healthcare. Right. That's not going to happen. But it is on you that you, if you want to be a really good product manager or a product leader in any space, product analyst, etc., I think you need to be a bit proactive in knowing the ecosystem, in knowing what kind of companies are pioneering in this, what kind of technologies are pioneering in this, what are the pain points of the stakeholders in this certain industry. So that is something that in which you have to go beyond the mile.
Like someone who is freshly ventured out or who is considering venturing out. Is there any specific job board? Is there any specific workflow? Or any very specific piece of gyan, as we call it within ISB niche, that you would like to share in terms of finding clients?
I think here are I would focus on three things, like mastering these three things. One is your digital presence. Your work right? You should be approachable. People should be able to see what you've done in the past. Any success stories that you have that share about your skills, about what kind of impact you can make and what kind of impact you've made in the past. That's one, I think, and that has to be on the right platforms. Let's say if you're a UI UX designer, it has to be on Dribble and Behance, for example. LinkedIn is common across all. I think LinkedIn is it's the common, and you have to have a very strong profile there. It has to be strong. Strong doesn't mean you have like 50,000 followers. It means that you clearly share what you've achieved. And if somebody lands on your profile and they see like 10-20 seconds, they should feel confident that, oh, this is the person that I need for this job, right? That's how they should feel. So I think LinkedIn, amongst all, for digital presence is a very common platform. Then you can go for freelancing platforms like Upwork, etc. as well. There are so many more these days. Paper Hour and all of People Per Hour and all of these are also there. So I think all of these will come later, but LinkedIn first. Then second one is what kind of companies you would work with and how would you help them? Have clarity in that. For example, and that can come with a single sentence or a single phrase. I help healthcare companies or health tech companies 1.5x their revenue by fixing businesses, right? It could be a clear statement that you give to a potential client or a potential employer and go and tell them this is what would happen if you hire me, right? If you give them that visual of what will happen when you become a part of their team, it makes their decision very easy.
All right.
So yeah, that's why I will go in there. And ROI is like one KPI, but you could pick any KPI that you feel very confident in, right? It could be if you're into marketing, into product marketing, into product analyst. What exactly would you do that will help them with a certain KPI that is actually a pain point for that company? So how would you go in and do that? If you are able to like talk and come on the same wavelength with your client and have this discussion, then you become a part of their team from the first discussion itself. From the very first discussion and conversation that you have with them, you become a part of their team and you try and think, okay, what is your current challenge? How do you think we could do this? How could we fix this? And why have you not tried these three things? Because these are on the top of my mind, right? So you become a part of their problem solving team and you go in and start working on the solutions to their challenges. This is the second skill I would say that you have to master. And the third one is engagement style. Engagement style in remote, I think there is still more to explore in this. The few that I can think of right now is milestone wise payment that you can suggest, and it can be per hour or per week or per month that you can fix. And then it can be a part-time model that you can fix in which you say that I'll work up to 20 hours a week and this is my weekly payment, and I can do whatever you want in that certain availability. So based on your role, you have to be very smart and be able to pitch what the engagement model would look like. And it has to be client friendly and it has to be like you friendly also.
Like
somewhere in between. Yeah. Nice. So I think these are the three things. If you're able to figure these out, then you become like you are the superpower of the problems that you can solve for these types of clients, and even be able to convince them to have you work with them.
All right. So I think you need to position yourself as a kind of a Marvel superhero having a specific set of powers which would solve a specific set of problems, right? And that reminds me, like maybe they could come up with a meme or a video before and after, before you hire me and after you hire me. What's the transformation? Nice.
There's so many creative ways to do that.
So many creative ways to do that. And I think you have very compactly and very eloquently summarized three things that they should do in terms of hiring clients, in terms of getting hired by clients rather. All right, pretty interesting. Let's talk more around the income hit. A lot of people are really worried, like especially people who are currently working in office setting, that their income will take a definitive hit if they move to remote setting, and also they would face issues when it comes to promotions and career advancement options. So what is your take? What has been your experiences, and what is your advice along these concerns?
Okay, I have worked with companies where they already had the remote work infrastructure, and some did not have it at all. Okay. So I'll tell you from both the angles.
Sure.
I'm sorry, throat is a bit bad today. That you end up working with, they have the remote friendly infrastructure or not. Okay. So if they do have, I think they'll have systems in place where there are monthly check-ins with the employees. where there are team check-ins and team KPIs set up and check-ins on those as well, and then overall quarterly and even annual plans. But in case of companies where they are pretty nascent when it comes to where they are pretty nascent when it comes to remote setup, I think you have to take a lead there. You have to take that lead of making sure that you are setting up a one-to-one with your manager every month or so, in which you have a structure of reporting that this is where I'm struggling, this is where I succeeded, this is what I want to learn next, and these are my KPIs. Is there anything wrong with it? Is there any misunderstanding? You go and clarify yourself. So you take that lead there. Mm-hmm. That is the hack here, I would say, in case you are going for remote kind of remote companies, but they have not done that previously. And this is the era where I think companies are also experimenting. So it is completely fine that you go in, you talk like, an expert there in the remote setup, because if you know that this is how the manager versus employee conversation goes, you structure that for them, even if the manager has not worked in a remote setup. Okay. So that is one. And then I think when it comes to salaries, I haven't seen a case where your salary would take a really bad hit when it comes to remote setup. There are 2-3 reasons for that. One reason is, I think when it comes to where you're living and where your company is based, that also makes a lot of difference. For example, if I would be working in Bangalore and my company is in Bangalore, then that proportion I think is at a certain level and you cannot play much with it. But when I was living in Chandigarh and my company was in Europe, I think I had a lot of bandwidth. Even if it was lesser than what I would have earned in Bangalore, I was spending way less. I was saving so much more. So I think that way, if you look at the proportion and you look at your lifestyle also, definitely keep that factor in your mind. Don't just look at the package number. Look at your savings versus...
Right. Yeah, I think that's a factor which a lot of people ignore, that the amount that they would save on commute. And also the non-financial savings, I would put it that way, in terms of the mental pressures in commuting, and there are a lot of reasons why people look for this kind of job setting. All right, I think that makes a lot of sense. Now let's talk more about preparing, right? The specific steps that someone who is looking to make a career, how would they approach a remote job? Let's start with interviews. So face-to-face interviews, it's a totally different ball game. When we talk about remote interviews, so how can a candidate, and how did you prepare for remote interviews, given that it brings its own set of challenges? You have to work on a lot of other aspects, including time zone maths. So considering all of that, how should one prepare for interviews, and are there any specific tools, technologies, platforms that can help?
I think for interviews, the surprising fact that I got to know when I started interviewing for remote jobs was that there is an AI round as well, in which there will be
we have an AI interview platform as well.
Yeah, so that is super common in remote companies. That will be the first step usually. So I think for the HRs, if you see from that perspective, it makes life easy for them by a lot of effort, because they don't have to go through candidates which otherwise would have come in and done a face-to-face interview, which might have to end up with a rejection. So in the AI round, I think you have to, that is an extra layer of preparation that you need to do. You have to use the right keywords again in that as well. You have to make sure that you answer the questions in a structured manner, because there's not a human sitting and waiting for you to finish the answer.
Absolutely.
So all of that needs to be prepared a bit, and I think there are resources available for that. But just I want to mention that is one layer of preparation that you need to do extra. And then I would say, in terms of when you actually are even imagining of working with a remote company, the first thought that should come to your mind is, how will we communicate? Mm-hmm. What will be the platforms? How will we exchange updates? How frequently do the team members meet? Because it's not an office setup where your colleague is sitting by your side and you can just poke them and ask for questions. So that is not the setup here, right? So how does the communication happen? Is there a structure already in place for the team that you're joining? And how often does the leader of the company come in and talk to all of the team members, etc. So all of that needs to be studied. Even the employee count is a very big factor in remote setup, because if it's a 10,000 people company versus if it's a 100 people company, it makes a lot of difference in how fast things get done, how bureaucratic things are. and how how approachable everyone is. So if you get clarity on that, then I think your approach towards how you appear for the interview would also change. So if it's a really huge company, you have to make sure that you respect bureaucracy as well. Versus when you are in a smaller setup where there are less than 500 employees, you respect agility there. So I think that narrative would change how you present yourself and what kind of strengths you show, based on how small or big the company is and what kind of setup they have. So ask for tools, ask whether they're using Slack or Teams, whether they use, whether they meet weekly or daily, or what kind of huddles happen, whether it's normal to just, ping people on huddle and just call them directly, or do you really set up meetings, how all of that works. It is completely okay to ask these questions, because then you know that you are not disturbing the culture, but rather, especially in the beginning, you're rather contributing to it.
Yeah, I think those are some very insightful perspectives that you put on the table, starting with be prepared for an AI interviewer, especially if you're looking for a remote job. And I think like having a product ourselves, we know like there is so much that can get validated without human intervention. It makes the life of the interviewer very easy. But I think for the candidates, it slightly reduces the chances, because your chances of rejections are increased based on whatever threshold has been defined by the recruiter. So that's one. Secondly, you also talked about being proactive in terms of getting the inputs from the employer. How is the communication happening? Whether they should focus on agility or whether they should focus more on a bureaucratic setting, and what are the different tools, technologies, and methodologies, as well as the remote work culture that is established within the organization, albeit they do have one, right? All right, so all very interesting, insightful points. Let's move further. Assuming there is an ideal future of work platform, right, that you have to design as a product manager. So where on one side you have job seekers or freelancers, doesn't really matter. On the other side, there are employers. We know like in the current setting, a lot of these platforms have become redundant, and they are trying to weave in AI as an afterthought rather than building it design first from the grounds up. So how would you design such a future of work platform now that you have perspectives from both the sides of the table?
Well, I think one angle is the one that you shared as well, employer versus employee. But I feel we are venturing into a whole different work style now. I'm so sorry, my throat is like not getting better at all.
All right, so I think this is going to be the last question, and then I think we can continue.
Yeah. Yes, I think I absolutely also believe that there's going to be a new type of workforce, which is the distributed sort of workforce, in which the work may not sit with really big companies or even medium-sized companies, but agencies are becoming very, very common. Solopreneurs are becoming very, very common. So I think a platform where the personalities can be even multifaceted. For example, if I am working for a company, whereas I work on my own agency as well. I think a platform which will cater to these kind of individuals as well would be something that would be really appreciated in the future, which is a mix of LinkedIn and Upwork, perhaps.
All right, so like kind of hybrid platforms.
Yes, I think in which you network based on what kind of venture you're working on, what kind of initiatives you're working on. It could be projects, short-term projects. It could be content creation. It could be solopreneurship. It could be anything, right? In which you get in freelancers for a limited time, and maybe then they work on other projects as well. So it can be a mix of those, not just client versus freelancer, because people can be both also. And then also
these days, I think people can be both. I think that's a very important undertone.
Yeah, and yes, I think the big companies that we anyway see, shifting towards now smaller companies, and I repeatedly tell that the layoffs that we see are not because they don't have enough profits. They are making enough profits, right? But if the lesser number of people can do the same job, why will they want to take the headache of having 10,000 employees extra. So that's why we see the layoffs, and that's the distributed workforce that we are seeing. And it is a good thing in the sense that now the power of hiring does not stay with the giants only. Even the agencies are able to hire with the same salaries, even I would say, and even solopreneurs are able to do that. So I think the whole spectrum has widened, and it has kind of distributed as well. So from like solopreneurs to giants, there will be more options for people. And if you don't fit in like either of these, there are still more options for you.
Okay. So
I think that's what's going to improve, and I'm very, very excited to see that shift happening, because I don't see myself working in banks, and I also don't see myself just working by myself as a freelancer only. So I sit somewhere in between, and still don't know what's the term for it. But yes, I think
you can coin a term for.
I think we should, and that's what I think. A platform that could cater to personalities who sit somewhere in between, that would be an ideal platform for the future, and a lot more to think on this. But I think as a product person, I would like to interview people if there are people like me who exist, and what they would like to see, where they struggle, etc.
Oh, absolutely. I think that is something which we can collectively look at. I think it will be a very cool, interesting product to design, right? All right. I think that brings us to the end of the interview, and I think this has been really fun. So Shreya, any words that you would have for our ISB remote community, for the product managers, aspirants, like any parting thoughts?
I think definitely don't wait for orders in a remote setup. That is something that I see as a weakness, especially in the Indian talent. They are amazing. They are so good with communication. They are so technical as well. They are able to understand attention to detail and even the overview macro level of things as well. But the one thing that I feel is missing in the talent is being proactive when it comes to kind of deciding what to work on next. So it doesn't have to come from top to bottom. That does not exist in a remote setup, and you actually are decision deciding person in your own work also, in your own team also, and even in pitching ideas what next to do. So definitely be proactive, and don't sit with the conventional method of waiting for orders or waiting for the leadership to create KPIs or goals. But if a KPI is already decided, what else could you do to achieve that? Try to come up with those ideas and discuss that with the team, and then make decisions.
All right. So thank you so much, Shreya. Really appreciate your time. Let me first stop the recording.
Yeah.
If you found our efforts useful, please like and share and subscribe for more content. For teams looking to hire smarter, explore our AI interviewer platform at Crelytics.co.